So you think about it, nobody could conquer that city until Alexander the Great. This military genius. I think it's very interesting because I think Donald Trump is a lot smarter than many people might think. I think he is playing chess while they are playing checkers. He's always one step ahead of them. And he's got a way of communicating with the common people as though he's not as sophisticated as you would think. I mean, you don't get to be a billionaire if you're unsophisticated. So anyways, Donald Trump knows all the schemes and the tricks of Tyre. He knows all their games, and that's why he knows how to defeat them. I mean, he's had to defeat them and work within their monopolies and so forth just to be able to be a billionaire in the first place. So he's trained for this kind of warfare, the kind of warfare that he's doing right now for America. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. So we have these international bankers and so forth. They've had their wall around them, and that wall has been taken, and we're going in and we're starting to conquer them. Beautiful. God used Alexander the Great to do this. Many people of the world, some people, they can't see. I believe Donald Trump is being used by God. I don't think there's any other explanation for it, for what we're seeing. And just as people wouldn't see Alexander the Great as God's hand, they probably don't see Donald Trump as God's hand today either. Donald Trump seems to be a vessel chosen by God to bring judgment upon those that are in need of judgment today, such as the corrupt establishment, Hillary Clinton, elements within the CIA, FBI, you name it, the establishment Republicans, people like John McCain, even the Bushes for what they did. It seems as though God's using Donald Trump just to take down enemy after enemy today. And no one can stop him. They've tried everything. They're throwing everything out at him. In fact, I think I got I wrote something about it about an hour ago on Facebook here. I said everything they throw at President Trump boomerangs back at them. Let me explain that for a minute. They keep trying to set traps for Donald Trump. They try to say that he was involved. Well, first off, they tried saying that fake news was used to get Donald Trump elected, and he turned around that fake news slogan that they're going to try and basically use against us and the alternative media and those that are not the mainstream media, right? They're going to just label them all as fake news except for CNN, NBC, ABC, you name it, MSNBC. But it boomerang against them because they are the real fake news. So Donald Trump has turned that around against them and has been beating him over the head with that fake news, your fake news. And it's wonderful. It's great because that's the truth. But also this Russian conspiracy thing where they're trying to say the Russians helped Donald Trump get elected and Donald Trump was in collusion with them. Now we're finding out all kinds of corruption that had taken place with the Democrat Party, again, corrupt elements in the FBI, you name it, that the real collusion was Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and many officials within the Obama administration were colluding with Russia. With the Russian dossier thing, the Uranium One deal with Russia, where the Clintons were receiving payoffs or bribes to give the Russians a great deal. So it's amazing. I mean, they tried to say that Donald Trump was the one colluding with the Russians, and it just is backfiring on them. It's amazing. Well, anyways, this is what I said about that. There can be only one explanation in my mind why everything boomerangs back at the enemies. That is, Trump is anointed by God to bring judgment upon a corrupt establishment, and no one can stop him from carrying out that task except Almighty God himself. Touch not mine anointed, it says in Psalms 105, verse 15. And I really believe that. I mean, they can't touch him. And just like Alexander the Great, when God's using somebody, it doesn't matter who he's using. Alexander the Great was not a holy man. He was, by far, he was not a holy man. He was a pagan. But God took him as a tool from his toolbox and said, all right, I'm going to punish the other heathens that had been enjoying their sin or enjoying their corruption for too long. So God used Alexander the Great to just speedily take down all these rulers, these kings of these various nations, and punish these nations. And they couldn't stop him. So if God's using Donald Trump, which I believe he's doing, it doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or if it's somebody else. If God's using someone, no one can stop that man except for God himself. Now, could there come a time when God could say, all right, I've used Donald Trump to do what he's supposed to do, and now his mission's over? Yeah. So, if something were to happen to Donald Trump, let's say he gets assassinated, somebody could say, oh, Pastor Ben, you said that nobody could touch Donald Trump. You said he was anointed by God. Well, how did he get assassinated? God forbid, we hope that never happens. But if God, they won't be able to touch him if God does not want him touched. All right? But if and when his mission is complete and God is done using him, anything can happen. But until then, and it seems like he's at the very beginning of using Donald Trump because, the tide is really turning, my friends. We're finally starting to get victories. Well, we've been getting a lot of victories since November, November 4th or whatever, whenever Election Day was last year. And a lot of Christians have a hard time with that still. A lot of the never-Trumpers and the real devout, some people that consider themselves real devout Christians, but they've got to expand the horizon. God doesn't have to use. Donald Trump's not a pastor, all right? He's not a religious man. He's a political figure. And God doesn't have to use someone who's perfectly sinless. He doesn't even have to use someone that believes in him. Although it appears as though Donald Trump, from many sources have said, well, he says he's a Christian, and many sources close to him have said that he's prayed for forgiveness in different situations. But nevertheless, let's just say he's not. It doesn't matter. God can still use him. All right? All right, let's get to the scriptures here. Oh, actually, let's look at the map here. The campaigns of Alexander the Great. Now, we're talking historically, and that's verses 1 through 8 have to do with